Hi, I'm Tulio Adriano Gonçalves. I'm president at Watermelon Corporation. Welcome to our game company. We began as a video game developers group, and we started to make this RPG for Sega Genesis. And we needed a name back then, and the name that we were going with was Evermind Development. But as the project became more serious and became to get more attention, my partner, who's also a graphic designer, was telling me that we needed to get a name that was easier to remember, less serious, more entertaining. And he came up with Watermelon, which is like thinking we have juicy games, for example. And we came up with that name before we moved to Muscatine, actually. So when we moved to Muscatine and we saw all these watermelons here and there, and we found out that this was the watermelon capital of the world, I thought, how convenient. I grew up in Brazil, which is the country I come from. And when I was a child, when I was 5 years old, I got my first Atari 2600. And that thing was so amazing to me, like playing video games on a TV. And I had like this restriction, like I could only play on vacations. So during school time, no video games, and it got me more and more eager to play video games. Well, as the time came, new game systems came on, the Master System, which I was crazy about it, and then the Sega Genesis. When it came, it was just like blow my mind. I got so excited about like how the music and the graphics look. And back then, a friend of mine came and introduced me to this genre of game called RPG. I was like, what are RPGs? And he would say, they are role-playing games. It's like you have this life, you have this story, and you have to do things, find stuff, resolve puzzles, and it got me really intrigued. And as I played the game, it was Phantasy Star back then, and then I played Phantasy Star 2, Phantasy Star 3, Phantasy Star 4, and I started playing to the Super Nintendo RPGs like Legend of Zelda, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, Lunar, all the games, all the RPGs. Every time I see an RPG at a rental store, that was the game that was coming from. It really became my favorite genre, and it's why Pier Solar became an RPG. One of the differences that you get in Pier Solar, especially compared to the Sega Genesis games back then, is that the Pier Solar is a modern RPG, although it's wearing a very old clothing. It looks old from the graphics perspective, but we try to incorporate character development that was really shallow back then on the Sega Genesis time and make it a little more fleshed out and a little more complex compared to the games back then. Now, another thing that we try to incorporate in the gameplay is having a little bit of strategy element on the battles. Many RPGs, all that you have to do is attack enemies and use spells and heal the wounded. In Pier Solar, we really try to find a way to get a little bit of strategy and use some elements that you see in many of those RPGs, like defend or arrange the party in different positions on the battlefield. That actually affects how often you are attacked. That if you are defending, you have more chances of counterattacking, and those things, they play a big role when you're fighting like a boss or some hard fights, and it's something that was never seen back then. Well, looking into the future of Watermelon right now, what I see is that we will continue making games for retro systems because it's something that we love, and we know a lot of people out there love those things, but we don't want to overlook the next generation. What I see really is that we are going to come with the games for the retro platforms, and then we are going to also get the games in the next gen platforms as they are released for the older platforms before. What I really want people to know, Pier Solar is a game made from gamers to gamers. It's an homage to most RPGs that were there, so I hope that people, when they play, they get to have the same feeling that we did when we were building it, like, why don't we include that thing? Why don't we do this? It's gonna be so cool. I want people to be playing those things and like, wow, they really thought about that. It was so cool. So I really want people to understand how we did this with a lot of passion, with really a lot of love. And I think that's not just about Pier Solar, it's just what Watermelon stands for. It's like we make games because it's what we like and because we think that the players deserve good games. And if we can help with that, rather than just going blockbuster, AAA, another shooting game, we can make something that really connects to people, that really makes them sitting on the couch and say, I would just want to play another hour because I really want to know what happens next. That's my goal. That's what I want to happen with Pier Solar, with all the games that are coming.